what made you? So why is emotion so imperative for you?
Because I feel like personally that is my like biggest like thing to work on within myself. Because I feel like I'm a very overly emotional person. Like,
okay.
But when's your birthday? You're a Pisces, aren't you?
why you have to do me like
Oh
that?
yeah, you're a Pisces.
Why
You're a
why you
Pisces.
have to
You
do
gotta
me
be
like
strong
that?
there.
Yep. Okay, go ahead.
You gotta be
Sorry.
stronger on her.
Man.
But yeah, I'm a Pisces.
Be close to her, you gotta be extra strong.
Yes, Lord. And that strong.
Maybe that's why I can't keep a girlfriend. Oh my God. Anyway, go ahead, Freak.
I ain't gonna take both
Sorry.
options out.
Don't tell me.
But now I just feel like I'm just a very emotional person, and at times I feel like that's a benefit because that's like where all my music comes from. But then on the flip side, when it comes to like dealing with people and like building relationships, how I view people, how I view the things that they do, I feel like that affects like that a lot.
Is it how you view them or how you think they view you?
I think it's like deeper than that. It's how I view them, how they view it, how I view myself. You feel me? Because I feel like a lot of that is a reflection of that type shit. So,
Yeah, I think that being women, it's different. You know, it's a different chemical makeup. But women are very emotional people. Like,
I get this a lot.
No, I feel like women are.
Emotions.
Yeah, it's
You
like
got the anger emotion, you got the sickness emotion, you got the relationship emotion. It's like so many different emotions that women just have. It's just different how we show it. You know, I could be emotion. People think I don't have emotion, and I'm a freaking crybaby.
and people think the same about
I don't,
me.
but I don't show it as much. I show it to like my close people. They'll be like, "Nah, she a punk."
see, I wish I
But
had that skill.
everybody else, they think like I have somebody say, "I didn't even think you cared." I'm like,
Yeah.
I care about everybody,
Yeah.
but my emotions. But growing up, my mom and my mom and them was just like, "Suck it up, Buttercup." You know what I mean? My brother used to say like, "Don't let nobody see you cry," because they'll take. I feel like they'll take my cryness or my weakness, my emotion. They'll take it for.
But
Weakness.
honestly, that's a
Weakness.
sad truth though.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely a sad truth of how it works. But that's like why I feel like emotions are so important. Cause me, how I was raised, like my mom pretty much like coddled my emotions growing up. So like it was okay to talk about things. It was okay to feel certain ways. So like.
It's so funny you said that because I was just about to say, so do you see the distortion in that? Because although you grew up that way, you know it's not healthy.
Yeah.
So you instill into your daughters. And so like for me, like, you know, like my grandparents, like my grandfather's even one, like what's on your mind? Like what's going on? And so like that meant a lot to me. A lot of people didn't have men like that in their lives. Mm-hmm. And then I had my grandmother who would do the same thing. Like, boy, what's going on? And like you could lie and make up some shit and like, no, that ain't it. What's really going on? And so it's funny because there's a distortion in that way of thinking, and we know that it's dysfunctional.
Yeah.
But we were conditioned to think that way, but we'll do our children differently. And it's funny because me and Trisha was talking earlier about Brielle, like how we allow her to express herself to us in a respectful manner, but we didn't really have a lot of that, a majority. Mm-hmm. Some families did not growing up. I did have some of it growing up from my grandparents, but we want her to be open and express yourself so you don't have to go through some of the pitfalls that we did. So notice how you know there's a distortion with it, and you teach your daughters differently, but you're not depositing the same season to yourself.
Because me, like she said, I'm the one I coddle my kids' feelings. I'm like, talk to me and tell me what's in your mind. Even if you feel like it's going to hurt my feelings.
I don't feel like that's coddling, though. I feel like that's healthy.
It's to a point it is, because I feel like when we was growing up, we couldn't speak. They'd say, stay in the child's place, or you don't know what you're talking about. You still young. Like, I feel like kids now, they do understand what's going on, and they have a feeling. I feel like they should be able to tell if they feel like they're sad. Yeah, this is what really makes them sad, regardless if we think it's BS.
That's true.
But to me, like Olivia, she's my emotional child. She's just like me. But she's my emotional child. She's like the opposite of my side. Like
Olivia,
I feel like
she got to say.
Kinsey is my, straight face, like I don't give a fuck type attitude. And Olivia is my crybaby, emotional, but I call her my crybaby, but she's not a crybaby. But yeah. So I just think I'm doing that to mine. It's like coddling, and I don't know if it's a bad thing, but to me, I feel like
you gotta have balance with it though, because I feel like it's good to talk about your emotions, but it's also good to be aware that of who you should talk to your emotions with, who is a safe space. Because for me, I just grew up thinking everybody. You feel me?
Everybody's a safe.
No, it's not like that.
I did not.
Because they will go back
and listen, I did not. One thing I will never forget. I was in middle school. I went to Jones Middle School in Marion, Indiana, and my grandfather was telling me, pay attention to the atmosphere. So if the atmosphere is not right, pay attention to how you express yourself. And even like regarding the children, and Nichelle mentioned about how when we grew up, we were told a child stays in a child's place.
Yeah.
But what we have to remember is that people teach what they were taught. And so if they were taught stay in a child's place, they just regurgitated that to us. Mm-hmm. And that's why a lot of us, we create our own framework for our own families because we know that wasn't healthy. But they were taught that, whether it's your aunts, your grandparents, your mothers and fathers, they were taught that. So all they are doing is passing along, and sometimes that's those generational curses. They pass along what they were taught, and they're saying this is how you should be. Mm-hmm. And then you grow up, and you're more mentally conscious, and you say, no, that's not how it should be. Mm-hmm. I don't want my children to suffer mentally like I did, and so we create our own framework. Like, this is how I was raised, but I don't want you to be raised that way.
Exactly. And it goes like that, too, because there's some things that our parents taught us, but they was like, no, I'm not doing this way, and they changed it a little bit. And and that's why it takes years to break generational curses. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take, this generation, I'm going to change everybody else. No, it's going to keep going, and keep going. It's just going to.
But does it really have to? It doesn't really have to.
Hold on. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but we have a question. Somebody asked, if we admit that we have these emotions such as sadness, why are we afraid to show that particular emotion, like tears or crying in public, and say that it is a sign of weakness, especially if a lot of us seem to be depressed, and depression can show itself through sadness or crying. Then we say that's a sign of weakness or it's problematic.
But is it really a sign of weakness?
I feel like that's a reflection of insecurity.
Thank you. It doesn't have to be a sign of weakness. It has to be a sign of I'm trying to navigate my way through this emotion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I cannot describe it at this moment. And a lot of times that's what people's issues are. And it's funny because I had this conversation yesterday with some clinicians. But go ahead.
But my thing is, talking about men, I feel like if a man shows certain emotions, they are labeled as weak. And I don't like that at all. But I feel like if a man sits there and he's crying to you, and then a girl like, man, he a weak ass because he, crying to me. I don't think that. I like gravitate to that because it's like you're allowing on your emotions to me and you're showing me your vulnerability.
Yes.
And I think more men should be able to do that without us women pulling them down and saying, making them feel like it's weak.
You need to start a movement.
Okay.
No, I'm really serious. And the reason I say that is because there are so many men, whether I do individual counseling or relationship counseling, so many men, when men hear a woman say, well, they're 33 or they're 29 and they should know this. No, they should not, because when you got a boo-boo at 6, they kissed it.
Yeah.
And told you, oh, come on, get up. When he got a boo-boo at 6, they said, are you a man or a mouse? So automatically his brain began to decipher, I can't be weak. So although I got a boo-boo like she got a boo-boo, I have to be strong. So I can't feel this pain. And so they are kind of emotionally constipated. And a lot of men are that way. And a lot of times women think men should be further than where they are, but how were they conditioned growing up? Because age doesn't matter. How were you conditioned? That's
can I segue that? Because then we was talking about sexuality earlier and what you identify as, and I feel like that goes hand in hand, because it's like so many people got the idea of what a man is supposed to be, what a man is supposed to represent, what qualities they're supposed to have. So then when it comes down to sexuality and a woman being confused on what side of the spectrum she stands with that, okay, I know that a man is supposed to do this, a man is supposed to do this, and I feel like, you feel me, a lot of studs that are still not, or I'm not gonna say studs. I'm gonna say mass presenting women. I'm not even gonna say studs because that could be broad. But I feel like a lot of them are just trying to replicate what their idea of the perfect man is, which is why
do you feel like until like saying you're a woman, she's trying to say like you're in a line of a man, so she putting all that.
I don't think it's a woman though. I think society does it too. Like I don't think it's just women.
Well, yeah.
Like a lot of times they gravitate towards those type of women that want them to be men because they have their own like problems or whatever it is that they're dealing with. But I feel like society kind of like grooms you to that too. Like I've gone past the like stage of feeling away on how other people view my sexuality, but I used to go through that too. And even now, like I work at a call center. My voice is kind of deep. A lot of people misconfuse like my gender, things like that.
It's
and it's
deeper
like
than mine.
you feel me? But you feel me? Like that's just like things that like gay people go through, and it's like if you're not aware of yourself and comfortable with yourself, you're gonna fall victim to that trap and just identify yourself with whatever you think this is supposed to be. If that makes sense.
It does. And one question I want to propose is, when we hear a majority of the time, not all the time, a majority of the time, of what a man is supposed to be, who do we hear it from?
I feel like
I'm
women.
going to answer the question.
But a
majority of the time, a majority of the time, again, not all the time, a majority of the time, when we hear what the image or the appearance of a man is supposed to be, and the characteristics that a real man is supposed to have, a majority of women hear it from women that does not have a man, and they want you to be an independent woman growing up. So you don't need a man for nothing.
I hate that.
You can pay your own bills. You can take care of your children. A majority, again, not all, but the majority of the time, when we hear what a man is supposed to be, we don't hear it from a man.
You hear it from it.
We hear it from a woman, our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunties, our cousins, older cousins, who is saying, you don't need a man for anything. So even if this man leaves you and you have a baby,
No, it ain't no
you
lie.
can raise your.
No.
And let me tell you,
Yeah.
biological penis, nothing artificial, unless you have a biological like me. If there's some shit I want to know, like for example,
I thought we talked about last episode.
So like when I raised Brianna as a single father, and I was a single father with her, like when I needed to know some shit, I would go to Trisha. You know, Brielle's mom. I would go to Brandy, my sister. I would go to Precious, my sister, because there were some things I knew I could understand as a male, but I may not be able to relate to you as a female. I may not be able to digest this completely. Yeah. So I reached out to the people in my tribe to help me navigate through that. And there are so many people who have a hate attitude against the other sex.
But my thing is, it's good because your daughter, I feel like my daughter, even when she with her dad, she'll still call me, even though her dad's right there, and she'll call me like, "Ma, I need to talk to you. This is more of a female." And that's how they feel. Like I feel like this is more of a women type thing. And if I had a son, I feel like he'll be the same way. So you want to have that person, a male figure into it. Even when me and you talk, I feel like I can talk to you more than I can talk to Dr. Jesse about it. And some things I want your advice on it because I know I'm going to get something else from Tony. True. So I feel like it's a reason why we have a man and a woman.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
the reason is to procreate, but we're going to go ahead and keep going.
This will be continued off camera.
We all different.
Because y'all don't know what I go through. This will be continued off camera.
I mean, when you talk about emotions, though, for me, I feel like emotions it's so vast on why someone can feel a certain way about a situation on every aspect, because really, technically, scientifically, emotions are all chemical. So for women, prime example, for women, when we're on our periods, we're evil as fuck.
It's not all chemical.
But it's not all chemical, but we're evil as fuck because of our hormones.
Yeah, y'all crazy.
So you gotta decipher.
Well,
you gotta decipher. Like, am I about to start my period?
Yeah.
Like, why am I trying
I swear that'd be me. Like,
yeah,
oh,
like,
wait,
and
really,
then really,
When
you be
you started,
crying,
you be
crying and shit, and then when you start your period, you be like, damn,
that's why.
I knew it.
Listen,
you be in your mind, you be acting crazy. Like, why am I acting like
I learned that from Brianna. Asked
Hey.
Brianna, "Are you on your cycle?" She was like, "Dad, how you know?" Girl, look, I'm about to punch you in the face.
No, it be like that. You gotta check yourself sometimes. Like, I knew I wasn't this mad for no reason. Like, I knew it wasn't for no reason.
I said, I'll be mad at myself for being mad at the dumb shit I'm mad at. And I be mad. That's why I'm so mad, because I'm like, I don't know why I'm mad, but I'm mad, and you in my face right now, and I'm mad at you, and I'm mad at you, and I don't know why I'm mad, but I'm about to sit here, and I'm hungry right now. Oh, my bad.
That's really how it be,
No,
Kat.
for real. Like,
You be ready to kill everybody for no reason,
right.
like, bro.
Like, my sons know how to leave me the hell alone during that time. I think they
And I
be
got
like,
2 girls, and Kenzie's getting up to that age.
Oh,
I'm just praying, like.
So
you gonna get it back.
Yeah, it's a vast, like, but if you want to talk about, I feel like the basics of emotions is like love, anger.
Did you look up the definition?
And what was the definition?
Yeah, I know what it is. I don't think you looked at it.
We know you know. Jesus, PhD.
Don't do that. Doesn't matter, Tony.
Goodness.
Doesn't matter. But
Emotion.
Yes.
A natural.
I'm glad you listened.
Is a natural instinctive state of mind deriving from one's circumstances, mood, or relationships with others.
Go ahead. So that is why I said, yes, having cycles is a part of it.
This makes sense, because being a lesbian, you piss me off.
But that's not it. That is not because you're a lesbian, Tony. Let me give that. Thank you.
You don't have to be a lesbian.
She about to have all these lesbians in the street talking about smack that bitch. What?
I know.
Who told you that? Didn't you hear the podcast? No, you did not take it.
Don't smack anybody.
So that's why I said. So cycles, of course, women have their menstrual cycles. Yes, that's a part. That does, but also, so that's why I said it's not all of it, because it's also how we're conditioned.
Right.
And all of our backgrounds are different. So how was I conditioned growing up? How am I digesting it as an adult? And that's why over 60% of adults live, and they live their life through their childhood trauma. Because
I call those stunted children.
Yes. So
you
like
can be a
until
child
I
in a grown ass body.
Yeah, absolutely. So I can be 30 and I'm living as a 9-year-old. Yes, that's childhood trauma. That's why a majority of adults live through their childhood trauma. Yeah, and that's why I always say, are you healed or are you not healed? And that's why I tell people there's a difference between being healed and being pissed off. So like if I broke up or had to leave somebody that was unfaithful, and I'm saying, you know what, I'm focusing on me right now. I'm hurt, but I'm focusing on me. That's healed. But if I say, I left that bitch and they weren't no good and that, you pissed off.
Oh, yeah.
You all the way broken. You ain't talk to nobody.
So, do you feel like everybody's broken?
No.
Yeah, I feel like.
I feel like with certain, I feel like that's like with certain things, cause like somebody could be like dealing with this, and that doesn't apply to this person because they dealing with something else. I feel like everybody's dealing with something, like for sure.
Yeah, and there's a difference.
What do you? How do you feel about though? Okay, let's just say, because to speak on what you were saying, you're very sensitive. I used to be a very sensitive child, and I used to cry a lot. So, I was, and look, life toughened me up a lot.
God, give it to me.
No, life toughened me up. But do you feel like sensitivity, being sensitive, and in a sense of you take everything to heart, you wear your emotions on your sleeve, like you overthink. Like if somebody say something to you that you know it ain't true, but you like, why the fuck did you say that? Because now I feel some type of way about it. Like it's like an instant emotion
I feel like
shift.
for me, yes, but I feel like that's also added on to like childhood traumas. So like I don't feel like that would apply to every sensitive person, because I've met some sensitive people that don't respond to certain things the same way I do. So like I feel like that's for me, that's kind of just a me case, I guess.
Yeah, that's you. Yeah. Who you are. Yeah. I like how you put that.
But as far as like, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, as far as being, I hate the word sensitive, because it's like you're just expressing yourself. Why is it such a problem for people to express themselves without them being called weak and this, that, and the other? Like my sons, for example, my oldest, he was a terrible, terrible, terrible crybaby, and it was like he would cry over everything, and it would be like, you know, go clean your room. Or, come in here and eat. It was like everything.
And how do you react to that? I got a question. When they do that, how do you react to it? Like, what is your response when they do that? Do you be like, all right, you act like a crybaby. Come on, it's not that serious. Or do you?
No, I would because in some instances it would be like, why are you crying? There is no reason for you to be crying right now. But that's what I was trying to pose
but
the question.
But his feelings is hurt.
But yeah, that's what I was saying. Is it like fake?
You want to know the why?
Yeah, like why?
The why? You want to know the
why?
why?
Is it like a natural?
It's important to him. Like
that game is important to him.
It's important to him. It's an emotional connection to that. Like everybody don't have. It's the same.
I feel like it was manipulation, but
it's like love languages. Like I was just talking to like somebody I was dealing with.
I felt like it was like I was going there. Like I feel like sometimes people can manipulate you.
No, but
you're a mother.
But the thing
so that's
is,
why you think
he has that thing. He's playing that game. He's doing something good. His emotion. He's loving it. And to hear you telling him to stop in a part that he's not ready to stop at, he's emotionally like feeling like sad now, and that's why his emotions coming out. You go and say, "Oh, what you crying for?"
"Oh, baby"?
No, what I'm saying
is, you need to be a doctor.
No, what I'm saying is,
listen, if rap don't work out, I'm gonna be like a personal therapist because I promise, like, rap don't work out, just call me.
But sometimes I'm not saying to be like, "Oh, baby," just saying, "I know you're upset because I'm telling you to put this game up, but now it's time to eat, and this is what we have to do." It's like just having that.
And then when he still cried, then what?
He gonna still cry, but once you're done with that emotion, once you get done, we'll be sitting right here. But it's time to turn that game off. Turn the game off because you're setting the boundaries as being a mom of telling I'm telling you what to do. But when you're ready to join us, when you get done with the crying, we're here.
Yeah. And when that episode is over, maybe later on, when he's not in that emotion, ask him, why is that so important to you? Like, what is the reason behind that? Because again, it's kind of like even like when we're angry, we know statistics has proven the angrier we are, the stupider we get. And so when we're angry, we get stupid.
Done some shit
and so, listen, that's everybody. And I tell people, I don't care what kind of degree you have. When you are angry, that's why I don't do. That's why I try to sit still. And I try to call somebody that's going to help me keep still. And I'll be like, I'm about to blow you good. I'm about to blow this shit up. So listen, so I know who to call in that moment. And so it's kind of like the same emotion. Like once I've settled, like, so why do you feel that way when I tell you to get off the game? You're out of that emotion now.
I'm there with them now.
Any emotional response will be different. Yeah, I'm just saying for anybody else that may be listening that may experience that, like let them have that emotion and then ask them later because the response is going to be different.
Yeah.
Their emotion is heightened.
But like
it's like learning the love language, like with your partner, cause like.
Oh, that pisses me off. Like,
but then look though. To flip back to the situation with your son in the game, that's the same thing.
You did to him.
Right. Come on, bring it in, Dr. Bree.
Flip it back.
Dr. Bree. Bring it in, Dr. Bree. Bring it in, Dr. Bree.
That's the same thing
though.
though.
Real quick.
Bring it in, Dr. Bree.
But no, now,
I like working with you.
To flip it,